What's up, Michigan State fans? It's Chico Kutznick here, back with another episode of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. Now, the podcast for Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. Normally, I would be talking football with you guys today. I kind of will. But, the original plan here was for me to talk about the practice, little bits that I was able to see on Monday morning. But, big change of plans there because Michigan State has its new athletic director. News broke on Monday morning that the Spartans will be hiring Dan Bartholomae as the school's new AD. The school made that official later on Monday. Obviously, you guys are watching this on Tuesday. He's going to be formally introduced in a press conference on Wednesday. And we're going to talk about that today. It's an athletic director hire, obviously very, very important. And we are going to talk about why I am a fan of this hiring. I think this is the right guy for the job. And yeah, I think overall, this is the type of hire that MSU needs. And we're going to talk about why. And because there's two main things that I think most athletic directors are going to get evaluated on these days. First, the most important thing to fans and really to everyone is how good are you on the field? What is this? How much success are we having? How good is the football team? How good is the basketball team? How good are all the sports in the athletic department? And then secondly, how good of a fundraiser are you? Because obviously money, the importance of that is only growing these days in college athletics. Bartholomew is great on both counts. I think Jay Batt had that going for him when he went from Georgia Tech to Michigan State. I still think that was a good hire for MSU at the time. I think he did fine in the 1 year he was at Michigan State. Yeah, obviously, he goes to Kentucky. You have to find a replacement. I think Bartholomew, he was kind of in the running for the job last year, and now I think MSU really has it down pat this time. I think this is kind of the thing I mentioned on the back end when I've been writing about this, but Bartholomew doesn't jump around from job to job the way Jay Batt has in his career. He generally sticks around at where he's been for several years. He's not going one place 1 year and then to a new role the next year. Most of his administrative experience comes from his time at Pitt. He was actually there for 15 years. And then he goes to Oregon State, was there for about 5 years, I'm pretty sure. And then, he goes to Western Michigan. He had been there for, I think he was there 2022. So he was there for about, 3.5 years, 4 years or so. So he's not jumping around a ton. And he was also ready to stay at Western Michigan for some time. He signed an extension there last year. And that extension puts the price tag of this hire, certainly on the expensive side. I believe the number I saw someone post his contract, it's $5.1 million. $5.1 million buyout for an athletic director from a MAC school. So again, credit to Western Michigan's president for locking, or at least trying to lock him down, because he's done an exceptional job. We'll get into more of the details of why he's done such a good job with the on-field success over there with the Broncos. But $5 million for an athletic director is a lot. It would be a lot if they got him from an SEC school or a Big 12 school or another Big 10 school. A lot of that buyout is going to be covered from the money MSU is going to be getting from Kentucky. For Jay Batt, the Kentucky, because of the weird circumstances with Gutswitz leaving and then coming back, Kentucky and MSU negotiated it was $3.95 million. So you're looking at $1.15 million difference in that MSU has to make up, which if you just use the math, if you kind of act like that money from Kentucky is free money, a $1.15 million buyout, that is certainly a lot more reasonable. I think when they got Jay Batt from Georgia Tech, again, they didn't have any extra buyout money coming in because the opening came out from Alan Haller being fired. It was $2 million to give to Georgia Tech. So $5 million, but still $5 million. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong here. But the reason, Bartholomew, we're more worried, though, about the on-field success. First things first is that Western Michigan football is one of the better group of 6 programs out there right now. I think they're at the top of the MAC preseason poll. I'll have to let me Google that while I keep talking here. But the more important thing is they won the MAC last year. MSU beat them in week 1, but they still turned around and won the MAC. Lance Taylor is the head coach of Western Michigan at this very moment, and Dan Bartholomae hired the coach in year 3, delivered a conference championship, and that was a pretty good hire. Taylor had only had 1 year of coordinating experience, 0 head coaching experience, but still Bartholomae gave him a shot at being a head coach at the group of 6 level. And as you can see, you win a conference title. They won 10 games last year. Things are certainly going well over there. But yeah, I did look it up, and Western Michigan is on top of the MAC to start the season, a couple of points ahead of Miami of Ohio. But obviously, football is first and foremost here. And obviously, Michigan State football has not been up to par for the last half decade or so. We'll have to see how Pat Fitzgerald does. But I think this is a very good pairing between Pat Fitzgerald and Dan Bartholomae. Pat Fitzgerald spoke on Monday. You can go get the video at our YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube when I'm done. I'd prefer you continue to listen to me talk. Click off this and go find Pat Fitzgerald press conference from Monday. But it's he couldn't really address the hire specifically. We couldn't really ask about the hire specifically because the news had broke. Everyone knows what's going on. There's the big elephant in the room, but it can't be directly addressed. You can halfway address it. But where was I going with that? I lost my train of thought there for a sec. But for both, I think the main point that I was getting at here is both Bartholomae and Fitzgerald are resourceful guys. They do more the more with less. I think you could go with that. You look at Fitzgerald again. Part of what made the hiring of him to be MSU's new football coach so intriguing is that he consistently did more with less at Northwestern. I think Northwestern last season, I looked it up, they surpassed, quote unquote, Indiana for the most losses in the entire FBS, losing his program in college football. Fitzgerald went there and held the toughest job in the Big Ten for 17 years in a row and relatively consistently fielded some pretty competitive competitive teams. It was 5 AP top 25 finishes. He got to the Big Ten championship game twice. Winning at Northwestern is really difficult. If you go before he was a player at Northwestern, I think there was a time where they won 1 game in 3 years. It was bad over there. It was really, really bad. If you think Michigan State football is bad right now, or at least for the past 4 years, it was much worse at Northwestern. Just a winning season at that place was rare. And if Fitzgerald goes in, and for 17 years, you look at the win-loss record is 110 and 101. It's not great, just a tad above 500. That is really impressive at a place like Northwestern. And then you look over at Bartholomae. Western Michigan, I'm not comparing them. They're not comparable to to the MAC is not comparable to Northwestern to the rest of the Big Ten. But the Learfield, there's this thing called the Director's Cup, where it's just you rank basically athletic departments based on how good they are on the field. You get a certain amount of points for winning a national title. You get a certain amount of points for a certain record or something like that, making the NCAA tournament, winning a conference championship. It's relatively important. If you're an athletic director, you'd like to win this thing. Western Michigan has been on top of the MAC for 3 straight years. And if you look at his bio at Western Michigan, they say no MAC team has ever done that since at least whenever the Director's Cup was founded. So that's really impressive. You are the top athletic department in your conference 3 years in a row. And that's all encompassing. Every sport, and you do it boom, 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 3 years in a row, there's no dip. I think they said the last 3 years they've won since Bartholomae got there, I think they've won 37 conference championships in total. So again, on-field success. He's turned around a football program at Western Michigan, got them to a MAC championship. It was their first MAC championship in 9 years. It was 2016 when PJ Fleck was there, now at Minnesota. It's very impressive. It's very, very impressive. And again, the numbers for him as a fundraiser over there as well, really impressive. That's not quite as important to fans because you guys probably don't care how much money the athletic department truly has. You kind of care because you have to care. I feel I care because I have to care. Everyone cares. It's ultimately about the product on the field. And obviously, how much money you have these days matters a lot to that. I can't remember the exact figure. I wrote it down in one of my articles about Bartholomae, but he's since he got there in 2022, the amount of just money he's able to get together in 1 year, he's nearly quintupled it. It was like 473% increase in 4 years. I mean, if that was a stock, like if that was a stock you'd held, you would feel amazing. You would feel great because I mean it's 473%. That is an insane return to have. I mean, a lot of athletic departments have fundraising records going on there, but that is a pretty jarring number to look at. And I think another promising sign to go with it is the fact that he's finding new avenues to generate revenue and to find donations. Since he's also gotten there, the amount of unique donors, just the amount of his donor pool, essentially, how many people are donating to Western Michigan athletics, it's more than doubled. So maybe I think that's another unique approach that you could apply to the Big Ten here, especially when you're talking about Michigan State, which has such a big alumni base. It's a giant state school. Like maybe you can. It's great when you get that $401 million donation from the Williamses. Like obviously that's a big deal, but you can go for those a bunch of mom and pop donations and just get a bunch of smaller ones. And again, when you have such a big alumni pool, that's not a bad approach to take. And I'm going to be interested to see how Bartholomae executes that when you're talking about a Big Ten school. Because I mean, I'm gonna have to look at let me look up the Western Michigan alumni. How many living alumni? Let's see. Western Michigan's living alumni. Let's see. I don't know if there's a number for that, or it seems to be like 300,000. Okay, and then you go to Michigan State's living alumni. I mean, it was 800,000 or something. Like 600,000, give or take. Like again, that's a big jump. And obviously, I mean, when you're talking about athletics, I think it's a little more intertwined when you're talking about a Big Ten school because it's Power Four. You know, when you're going to Western Michigan, like a lot of if we're being real here, a lot of people going to Western Michigan are a little more concerned probably about Michigan or Michigan State because those are the big boys. Those are the big two schools in the state. When you go to Michigan State, you care about Michigan State. When you go to Michigan, you care about Michigan. It's a little different when you're talking about Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan. I mean, there's always that Walmart job that MSU fans have with Michigan fans. You don't go to Michigan, but yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But nevertheless, just the unique donor pool has more than doubled under Bartholome's leadership at Western Michigan. And if you can do that at Michigan State, might be a little tougher to execute. Like that's going to lead to some really good things. And I mean, the NIL at Michigan State, let's be real, it has to get better. It really does have to get better because neither Tom Izzo nor Pat Fitzgerald seem to operate like guys who can operate like heavy hitters or really slightly above average monetarily wise in the transfer portal or really with recruiting. I think Tom Izzo, the floor is really high because he's Tom Izzo. But when you're talking about football, I mean, when Pat Fitzgerald was going through the transfer portal, he wasn't operating a ton like he had a lot of money to truly work with. Like he wasn't getting a bunch of blue chip recruits. I mean, I still think you're going to need to see some wins and some progress on the football front before you really start to see more investment in the football program. But still, like it's kind of a chicken or the egg thing. Do you give them more funding so they get better, or do they have to get better before you give them more funding? We'll have to wait and see. But still, Bartholomae, on both counts, Western Michigan athletics was really good under his leadership. I forgot to bring up, they won a hockey national championship, guys. They won a national championship, and their head coach is still there. Bartholomae has been able to keep him the last couple of off seasons. Like normally, when you're talking about Western Michigan hockey, their coach, they win a national championship. You'd have to think, oh, the Western Michigan coach has to be like the top candidate for almost any other job that opens up in the college hockey landscape. And he stayed there. So again, Bartholomae can keep some guys around, it seems, as well. And it was also the first national title in any varsity sport at Western Michigan in 60 years. And again, with how much more separation there is these days between, like, when you're talking about maybe hockey, it's a little different, but like Michigan State, Minnesota, and some of the other big boys, and then Western Michigan, which did not exactly have a storied hockey history before the last handful of years. That is really, really impressive to just build a program from the ground up and go win a national title. So that's another thing I need to bring up. Last thing I also really like, this might fly under the radar. He also was in charge of helping. He was at Oregon State in the past. I think I already brought that up, but he was in charge of helping renovate Oregon State's football stadium, Reser Stadium. It was like 150 something $1 million, chump change. Like Jay Bat was eyeing Spartan Stadium renovations. I'd have to imagine that's still going to be in the process for the future. I think Jay Bat said in May he was targeting the 2029 season, so really not that far away. You have an AD who has done something like that. That's going to help things, move smoothly throughout that. I mean, if you look at go look up the renderings of the Spartan Stadium renovations. Those are hardly ever what they truly look like. Looks pretty darn good. I mean, I always have some complaints about Spartan Stadium. It kind of looks like it's from the Cold War. It's just straight concrete all around. Desperate, like the stadium's in desperate need of a real renovation. I would really like to see that get done. And you go hire an AD who has gone through that before. That excites me. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts on the hire. Again, I'll have more for you guys soon because he gets introduced on Wednesday. We'll have to see what he gets asked and what he talks about, what his vision for the future is. But I'll be there for the introductory press conference and have plenty of content for you guys from that. But yeah, that is all for today. We keep doing these podcasts Monday through Friday. There's plenty of content on the hire and Michigan State football. Again, the season's pretty close, guys. Michigan State Spartans on SI and SpartanNation.com. But signing off, I'm Jacob Patsanika. I'll see you guys around.